The death of creativity almost always begins when someone is trying to make things a bit safer. It starts with a feeling of fear. When I was a kid, I loved movies. I loved Hollywood. Wanted to see pretty much every film that would come out. I inherited that from my mom, I believe. I would even skip school with my mom. Sorry, Mrs. Roderick, if you're watching. Movies were magical. They took me places I never could have gone without them. They made me believe that anything was possible. I don't feel that way anymore. And I don't think I'm the only one. Why? If you look down this list, there are only two of these movies that are not complete originals. The 8 others are completely original, meaning they're not remakes, they're not sequels, they're not adaptations from a play or a video game. Now, let's take a look at the list of top 10 grossing films of last year and contrast that with 1984. So in 2025, the list of top grossing films were a sequel, a sequel, a sequel, a live action remake, a video game adaptation, a sequel, an anime adaptation, a live action remake, a comic book adaptation, and an original. Why? Why has this happened? I don't think Hollywood ran out of creative people. I think there are still just as many creative minds in Hollywood. In fact, I might argue there are more. I think they became afraid. Budgets have expanded. It costs so much money to make a hit movie today that executives have gone into fear and protection mode. They want to be safe, and so they control. Now more than ever. If a film doesn't meet the criteria, meaning the absolute formula that has worked in the past, they won't greenlight it. And so creativity has now been lost to predictability. Creativity in Hollywood, as far as films coming out, is almost dead. Why do I care? Why should you care? This death of creativity happens inside companies today more than ever before. Now imagine for a moment if you have two groups of software developers. These software developers have the same assignment. They've been given the exact same list of features that need to be built for a creative health app. They've been given the same problem, the same ask. Now imagine that I take the list of features that they're supposed to build and I make one little change, just one small one. At the top of that list, I label one group's list as requirements. The other group's list, they get the exact same list, except for I've labeled them as ideas. Would that have an effect on the group? Rahul Mahanini, Barak Turan, and Paul Ralph asked this exact question. That same list of 25 features, possible features, they gave to those two groups of software developers, and they labeled one ideas and the other one requirements. What happened? It was astounding. The group that got the label of ideas produced designs that were far more original and creative. They pushed the boundaries. They combined features in unexpected ways. They showed imagination. The group that received the requirements, well, they created solid software. However, it was very uninspired. Creativity was affected by just that one word. One word. So imagine what happens when you as a leader have a command and control environment on a day in and day out basis of approval layers, of fear, of micromanagement, of extra meetings and constant oversight kills the creativity of your team. How many brilliant ideas died because someone thought that'll never work? The leader told them that's not what we're looking for. Creativity cannot exist with fear. How can you make your culture and your organization one of creativity? Let me give you 5 places to start. Number 1, Stop punishing failed experiments. Failure is just learning. And it doesn't matter how many times leaders say this. It doesn't matter how many times we hear from the great companies of the world that they will value failure. We still default to trying to avoid it. Stop punishing it. You found a way it won't work. Your team's found a way it won't work. Move forward and create an environment where they can take the next risk. Number two, give people problems to solve, not prescriptions to solve them. I cannot emphasize this one enough. Give your team outcomes that you want and let them drive toward the outcome. Let them come up with the ideas. I say this constantly in my videos, but your one brain is never going to match the ability of the multiple brains on your team. It just isn't. It doesn't matter how intelligent you are. It doesn't matter how much effort you put in. You cannot match the brain power of your team. So give them problems and let them solve them. Get out of their way. Be there to support, not to manage and control. Number three, reward dissent and questioning. I know so many managers who the second that someone on their team says something that goes against what the manager believes, the manager loses it. The manager starts to see that person as disloyal. Listen, you have hired those people to do work for you. You have hired them to follow their advice. So why do you shut them down? Don't do it. Reward that dissent. Reward the questioning, and you will be a much stronger organization. Number four, reduce approval layers. Look down the list of approvals that your team has to submit and ask yourself, is this approval really necessary, or is it just creating an environment where I might feel a little bit more warm and comfy and safe? Get over your need to feel safe. It's not a place where leaders should live. Reduce approval layers. Fifth, and maybe it should have been number one, because this one is huge, create psychological safety. If your team does not feel like they can speak openly about mistakes they've made, about mistakes you've made, about the mistakes companies have made, about improvements that they see that they could make or that the organization, the team could make, if they don't feel comfortable bringing those things up, then you've already lost. Creativity is already dead.